All right. Well, we proved the existence of God from the classical. Now we go back to our good friend, the problem of evil. Well, here, the classicalist uses the deductive problem of evil. The problem of evil has been used by such thinkers as David Hume, H.G. Wells, Bertrand Russell to challenge the rationality of belief in the existence of an omnipotent and benevolent God. Theists believe that the problem is solvable since the events we condemn and the moral law by which we condemn them are both traceable to the same source, capital S source. Well, who are we going to point to?
Yeah, right. So, so historically, the problem, that is the problem of evil, has commonly been set forth formally as an apparent contradiction among three propositions, often called the inconsistent triad. Right, and so here they are. God is all loving. Right, God would eliminate evil if he could because he's all loving or perhaps all good, and so he doesn't want evil. Right. Secondly, God is all powerful. And so God could eliminate evil if he wanted to. He's powerful. So he's loving and good. He doesn't want evil. And he's all powerful. He could eliminate evil if he wanted to. And third, then, the third piece here is that evil indeed does exist. And so God does not eliminate evil. And so those kind of three, propositions here are considered inconsistent in some way. They can't all be true. That's the idea here. Right. If he is all loving and good, he would eliminate evil. And if he's all powerful, he can eliminate evil, but evil exists. So something is wrong, says the atheist. And the atheists obviously point to the idea that, well, then that type of God doesn't exist.
Right, right. So which is a Christian? Do you want God not to be all loving? Do you want him not to be all powerful? Do you want evil not to exist? Or do you want God not to exist? So heads I win, tails you lose type deal. And this is something that we, of course, did cover in What About Evil with Scott Christensen, because I think his book covers pretty much everything. And so this should be familiar for those that have listened in on that book as well. Well, the problem has elicited a number of theodicies or explanations for the occurrence of evil in the world made by God. But classical apologists agree that that these three propositions are not incompatible or inconsistent with one another. In essence, there are 5 logically distinguishable responses to the problem. One, deny that God exists, which is atheism. 2, deny that God is all loving, which is dualism. 3, deny that God is all powerful, which is finitism. And 4, deny that evil exists, which is illusionism. Or 5, affirm that all 3 are propositions in list above are true, and there you have theism. The strategy used by classical apologists is to criticize proposed theodicies that solve the problem by denying one of these positions, and then to show that affirming all the propositions is not irrational.
Right. So what they do is they say, okay, well, let's take atheism, and we'll look at that in just a second here. And they say, here's the problem with the denying that God exists approach, right? And so what they try to show is that all 3 propositions can coexist without being a contradiction, right? That's the basic idea here. And so let's consider atheism. It argues that an all good and all powerful God must not exist, because he could destroy all evil, and he wouldn't want to and would want to destroy all evil, but he doesn't. So moreover, God is evidently cannot do the best, right? That is, not have a world with evil in it. And since this is not the best of all possible worlds, therefore God either doesn't exist or he's not able to accomplish what he wants, and therefore the traditional concept of God is not true. So that's kind of the atheistic approach, right? If he could, he would. It's obvious he didn't, so he can't, or he doesn't exist, right? Well, most classical apologists relate these objections to the implications of a world where moral creatures have been given the freedom to make real choices, and to the concept that if an all-perfect, all-powerful God does exist, there must be, notice, a good purpose for evil. So we have 2 things going there. First of all, moral creatures have freedom, right? And they kind of use that to help support the argument against, the power of evil. And secondly, the idea that You can have evil along with a good and powerful God, because there may be a good purpose for the evil. So, although God has not yet destroyed evil, he will do so, and in a way that leads to the best possible world. That is, although this is not the best of all possible worlds, it is the best of all possible ways to achieve the best of all possible worlds.
Right.
So that's kind of an approach that can be taken to deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, going to the gym and breaking down your muscles and bones and microfractures, that's terrible. That's evil. There's no way that you could get stronger by breaking things down, except that's how they build themselves back up and build themselves back up stronger. You're able to lift more chairs that impress the people at church, and that's how you find your wife. So I think that's how it works.
Yeah, something like that.
So even evil can bring about good.
So go lift chairs in church.
Yeah, go lift chairs, always. The more and in more hands possible. The classical apologist then reasons that evil, or at least the possibility of evil, is a necessary condition and byproduct of a maximally perfect moral world. After examining the alternatives available to the theistic God, Geisler, for instance, concludes that a world with evil is a morally necessity prerequisite to the most perfect world possible. A less perfect moral world is possible, but then it would not be the most perfect moral world that is an infinitely perfect God could achieve. In brief, permitting evil is the best way to produce the best world.
Right. So that's kind of his theodicy approach, an explanation for why God allows evil. That's the notion of theodicy.